Both championships are wrapped up. We've reached the last race of the season, and the drivers don't see much to fight for in the big picture. That might sound like a recipe for a boring race, but the reality is, now the pressure is off. There's little to lose and all the glory to gain in going for the win. Let's see who caps it off with a victory as we get ready to watch round 12 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is Roush Racing driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes is our director Daniel Costello, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. For a long time, this was the actual season finale for the F1 Championship here at Suzuka. Let's get a closer look at it with our track guide. Welcome to Suzuka Circuit, perhaps most famous for its hosting of the Formula One Japanese Grand Prix for much of the event's history. This track sees all sorts of racing besides that. In fact, this place began as a test track for Honda, but later proved to be a driver and fan favorite for competitive motorsports as well. The full layout of the Grand Prix course steals the show, but there's actually 5 different versions that can be run on iRacing. With their lap lengths ranging from just over 2 kilometers to nearly 6 kilometers, plenty of different types of cars can suit the track. GT racing and lower-level open-wheelers are quite popular, but motorcycles are also a staple here. Some of the corners have become world-renowned over the years. The S's are often cited as one of the great tests of a driver's technical prowess. Then, of course, there's Degner's 1 and 2, which provide very little runoff considering their fast and narrow entry. Later on, the long backstretch leads up to the notorious 130R, which is blindingly fast. The Casio Triangle offers one last chance at an overtake if you're brave, but has been the scene of many drivers clattering into one another over the years. F1 fans will be quick to cite the infamous coming together here between Senna and Prost. However, real-life visitors will find it's more than the racing that provides some viewing pleasures. The unique ways in which the Japanese fans celebrate their favorite cars and drivers certainly capture your attention. But it's no wonder they're such fanatics, because who wouldn't be with one of the world's greatest tracks right in your backyard? This is a place that is often described as a real driver's track, Joey, so I'm pretty sure this will be a test for all of our competitors.
I think it's a favorite between the fans and the drivers alike, and Suzuka International Racing Course is the official name, just right there in Suzuka, Japan. 17 turns, 3.6 miles, and it is an incredibly technical and narrow racetrack. Very high speed throughout the majority of it, but with these 79 cars, downforce is going to be packed onto them, especially in the first sector through the snake section. Pretty much the S's, the cars are going to be glued down to the road. A couple of danger areas, though. The Degner bends, it's easy to bottom out the car there and damage those aerodynamics. And when you bottom it out, it's easy to actually spin the car into the guardrail. Another one, the hairpin down there, turn number 11. Careful putting the power down. You need to roll onto the accelerator nice and easy to prevent any wheel spin. Spoon curve, known as turn number 13, one of the most technical turns in all of the racetrack. It's very open on entry, and then it tightens up at the exit down there. And then as you see, the famous figure 8 130R, it actually passes over the racetrack into the Casio Triangle, turns 15 and 16. That little right-hander is turn 17 out onto the front straightaway, but that's a big passing opportunity into that chicane, especially on the last lap.
Those passing opportunities could wind up being very critical throughout the race. It can be tough to try and overtake. Now, as far as the points go, overtake's not as important. It's all down to who gets the win today, because Jack David Spiggott has wrapped up the championship, his first ever title here in the Sunday Grand Prix Series. Gernot Friesche, again, we've been seeing him steadily get back to grips with this car since it changed many years ago. And he has collected wins as of late, but he came up short this season for adding to his championship tally. I'll have to see when his last championship actually was. John Olsen, Juho Rainer were close to fighting for that third spot, but Juho has not shown up today, so John should lock that one up. Dylan Freckleton with an excellent run this season, getting himself into 6th, maybe could take 5th. By the end of the day, so keep an eye on them. And then we have the F2 Championship, which is also locked up here, Joey.
Mr. Ackerman, Bjorn Ackerman, just put his foot down on the F2 championship this year, leads by 128 points over Rolly Wallbank. A little bit closer between Rolly and Miguel Moreland, but I think the battle is between Miguel and Yanni Lehman. You see only 11 points separating that third and fourth place. Kurt Clapper inside the top 5. Ben Summers only 9 points behind Kurt there in 6th place. Keith Herner, Adam Klatska, Jason Krakowiak, and Jose Condi rounds out the top 10.
And of course, we have the Teams Championship. This is the classic Teams Championship that they run even outside of these races that we cover. Right now, it is Fittipaldi who is leading with San Remo Racing in second behind them. Probably a little too far behind to overtake them at this stage. Ligier following in third, but it's a tight battle for that one. Ferrari and Lotus are nipping at their heels, trying to see if they could take that last step of the podium in this final weekend of the season, and then it's off to week 13 for our competitors. But for week 12, Joey, why don't we give them the rundown for today's race?
The championship, the final round of the season, 19 laps around Suzuka. An open setup, that means you can tweak and tune the cars how you need to. I expect the downforce levels to really be packed on here at Suzuka. Make sure the car is stable and you have maximum grip throughout all of the corners. No spare car as always, so if you pick up any damage between running into your competitors, you're going off track, you're going to have to live with it. Drive-through penalty at 17 incidents points. Disqualification at 25 incident points. But with the open wheelers, don't go running into your competitors out there. There is plenty of runoff at Suzuka, especially around the outside of 130R. So you can take some excess if you get into trouble. But around the first, call it half of the lap, there isn't much runoff, and it is grass on the outside.
Well, our current reigning Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends champion, Togo Hisada, now has the provisional pole here at his home track, and it's by about just shy of 0.2 of a second over Sergio Fernandez. Oh, but Marco Sanfilippo has just taken it away by another 0.2, and the number 6 car is currently our fastest. We're waiting, I think, on just a small handful to complete, including Gernot Frische, so it could change hands yet again before we're done.
Gernot's down in the spoon curve known as turn 13 here. There's a great shot of it and how it tightens up on the exit there. It's such a doozy of a corner because you carry so much speed into it, then you really have to bleed it off and then keep the front end grip. And then this is into the 130R section, drive over the section of the racetrack, that figure 8 section, and then pick a brake marker right here and make sure that you don't overstep the limit.
Looks good on the first apex. Second apex just glances that curb, gets on the throttle. He's showing a great improvement here. In fact, as he crosses the line, it's going to be close. 47.3. Oh, he's 16,000 shy of taking the pole. But that means we have a battle on our hands between Marco and Gernot here for the potential win, as our now reigning champion this season is going to cross the line, and unfortunately only going to improve up to 7th for JDS.
Only about, call it about 20 seconds left on the timer here. This is the last car on the racetrack. Antonio Alvarez, he should be able to make it no problem to start finish. He's currently sitting 20th with a 150.4. He's tracking a little bit better here. Let's see what this comes out to be, a 149.8. So that's going to jump him up, I believe, a couple positions. No, he's going to stay in 20th. Just barely missed out on 19th there.
Very close out here. Remember, this is the top of 2 splits. So we have a lot of drivers competing, and it's some pretty high strength of field in this one. Didn't catch exactly where it sits, but it looks like potentially in the 3,000s, maybe 4,000s on this one. Let's go through our starting grid for today's race as Marco Sanfilippo takes the pole position and Gernot Frische comes just shy of beating him to that. Togo Hisada will start from 3rd, Sergio Fernandez in P4. From there, it's Pauli Partanen starting 5th. Danilo Sanfilippo will start in the 6th position, and JDS will be in 7th. To his outside, you've got Rolly Wallbank, Dylan Freckleton starting from 9th today, as John Olsen, clinching that 3rd in the championship, will start from 10th.
And Victor Rodriguez in the number 3 will start in 11th with the Nathan Finnegan on his outside on row number 6. 13th is AJ Roper with Barry West, the Big Cat, in 14th. Kevin Parsh in 15th with Jean-Francois Bosca. 16th, Lucas Lodato, 17th. Bjorn Ackerman, 18th. Mickey Friesen back here on row number 10 and 19th. Antonio Alvarez, 20th. And we do have one more car. Jason Clapper will start in 21st. Did not put down a qualifying time, which is typical Clapper style. He's going to try to go from last to first.
I'm being told it is a 4,200 iRating average out here. That is pretty impressive. Even for this series, Joey, this is some steep competition they've got today.
And I see even in the text chat, Bjorn Ackerman, thanks for all your donations to my iRating today.
Perfect. Yeah. So, it is a hot track too. 115 Fahrenheit, 46 Celsius. With how many long sweeping corners they have at this track, that is going to be chewing up the tires. It might be a case of tire management as there are no scheduled pit stops in this series. And it looks like everybody is out on the grid, so we should see them going here soon. Lights are up as the engines now start to rev here in Japan for the final round of the season. And the green flag is out. As a horrible start for Gernot Friesche. He's getting swamped, almost going 3 wide. These are going to tangle. They're going to come together. Friesche gets knocked off course along with another driver who bounces off to the inside. And it looks like everybody else able to avoid getting involved in the accident.
I think that was Sergio Fernandez as well. And now Togo Hisada has a wicked loose moment coming out of turn number 2, is able to save the car. He falls back to 3rd place, but that was a huge save for the Lotus 49 champ.
Well, the only thing that is going to be a bit of comfort for Gernot is Victor Rodriguez also goes off. The Club Iberia driver through the snake, finds himself in the gravel, and he is going to park it from there. Mickey Friesen looks like he's able to carry on, but I was going to say Gernot has locked up that second in the championship, so it doesn't matter where he finishes in this one anyways. Just a bit of a bitter taste to wrap it up.
And I'm sure we'll get a replay of it, but it was Pauli Partanen, Joe. On that start, we know how fast Pauli is, and he did not qualify in those front couple rows. He was trying to squeeze, I think, 3 or maybe even 4 wide, and just made contact, and Pauli's sitting in second while 2 other lead cars are on the sidelines.
Partanen can be a real danger for those wins at times, so watch out for him. The Finn is usually fast. Dylan Freckleton in a nice little fight with John Olsen just in front of him, but you could see behind as well. They got a few drivers getting close to one another as we head down the backstretch in anger for the first time. This is where you can often see passes coming into the Casio triangle. Anybody going to stick their nose out?
Let's see about Freckleton. This car right here, that's Jack David Spickett trying to squeeze inside Togo Hisada. Togo's going to get the run coming out of that Casio triangle, but look at the draft from this yellow car of JDS already underneath the rear wing. He's going to move to driver's right. This is going to be a pass attempt going into turn number 1. I think Togo realizes the outside of the racetrack, you can hang tough. There he goes. He's got to jump on the brakes. He does leave enough room. This is excellent racing.
Oh, this is wonderful. We've got 2 of our current Lotus champions racing one another. And this is for 3rd on track, but Togo's going to hold on to it as they head into the snake. This is very single file. We got a replay coming. This is of the start. So you said Pauli was the one that kind of barged his way in there.
Yeah, watch the white car, the white and blue car. He's going to try to jump the middle. That's 4 wide and just squeezes Gernot, and Gernot makes contact with Sergio Fernandez. Those 2 cars go off on either side of the racetrack, and thank God for that. Otherwise, we would have had a real big pileup.
Yeah, really good heads up by everybody coming in to be able to avoid, even all the way at the back, as you can see that Gernot kind of bounced his way back onto the circuit. What about Lucas Lodato coming through the hairpin here? This is a battle for 13th position, but he's kind of sandwiched between a couple. AJ Roper right in behind him. He's got to play defense at the same time as he's playing offense. And there he is down to the inside, coming into spoon curve. Going to try and take the difficult pass, but hanging tough. Lucas will fight him hard, almost interlocking wheels. And in fact, Lucas maybe gets elbowed out there on the second phase.
just a little bit of wheel to side pod contact pushed Lucas out. Now he has to go defensive because it's Mickey Friesen that almost once again makes contact with the wheels but is able to power by before 130R. It is so tough to stop the bleeding. Now Jason Clapper is looking up the inside here of Lucas Lodato. He's able to get back on the racing line, and now he's wicked loose trying to put the power down. It looks like Togo Asada, Jack David Spickett, Pauli Partanen, they're all fighting up inside the top four.
And Partanen fighting for the lead with San Filippo for a bit. Spickett not able to make the pass, but Bjorn Ackerman, F2 champion, he's going to move himself up into 11th. He doesn't get that 11th. Kevin Parrish is going to beat him to 10th.
Look, Bjorn's having a fantastic run. Actually, both of these cars having a really good run because Kevin's up 5, Bjorn's up 7. So both of these drivers having a great first few laps here, and we'll just see how the race plays out for them. It's always about management now. Everybody's pumped up on that adrenaline. Make those early moves, get your standing start done, but now is when all that practice comes into play.
18th place for Jason Clapper, up 3 from the start, which isn't as much as we're used to seeing from him, but it's still early stages. That's a position per lap for him. Just in front, Lucas Lodato, who is kind of moving backwards instead, although he is back to where he began this race, at least for the time being. So this is going to be an interesting battle between the pair of them. They come up to Spoon Curve. This is where it went awry for Lucas 1 lap ago.
See if Jason's going to do the same type of out-braking maneuver. Kind of pokes the nose down in there, but doesn't really put the car up to the inside. And I know that we're used to seeing Jason Clapper make a little bit more progress early on. There's another little slip-up from Lodato. That will provide the opportunity that Jason Clapper needs. Move the car to the left side, and he's just going to drive right on by right before 130R. I was going to make a point about Jason, though. You remember, he took a little break from racing here, and he's just kind of resurfaced. It's good to see him out on the track again.
100%. Meanwhile, Kevin Parrish still defending on Bjorn Ackerman. Really wants to take this spot away. Partanen with the fastest lap as this is going on. Round the outside for Bjorn. Oh, and Pauli Partanen with a pass for the lead. It looks like the Finn is now your new top spot.
And how he did it, he just got a really good draft down the front straightaway, put the nose down the inside of turn number 1, and it was really good racing between the pair. Remember how we saw Togo and JDS leave each other room? It was pretty much a spitting image, but Pauli was able to get that nose in there and accomplish the pass. So we'll see if Marco Sanfilippo can hang on to the back of Pauli Partanen.
Yeah, now that Pauli's gotten it, was he being held up? Is he quicker than that number 6 car? Certainly looking like it as he pulls about half a second over him quite quickly. Behind them, Togo Hisada back by about 3 seconds. And Jack David Spickett still hassling him. Oh, Freckleton has a moment, but keeps it out of the wall, out of the Degners.
And I want to point out something as Freckleton gets back going. Let's look at the number 1 car. Remember, he was on the side of the road on the front straightaway before turn number 1. He is right on the back of Lucas Lodato. I'm talking about Gernot Frische has recovered, and he is back in this race.
Car must have not been too horribly damaged, which is shocking because he had pretty good hits there. So he's going to give it a right try, and he's got a whole bunch of cars in front of him. Lodato, as you mentioned, Jason Clapper, who looks like he might make a spot. Lodato actually going wide and giving that one up easily. And then side by side now between Alvarez and Clapper. Someone's going to have to give way, and it's going to be Jason.
And look at Gernot. He's just licking his lips right here. And then here, Togo Hisada as well as JDS. This battle rages on. Togo firmly in the slipstream right here. It's going to pop out drivers left. I do think the long way around turn number 1, you can carry so much speed, but it's up to that inside car how much he's going to track out of that turn 2 exit. Just the shorter distance around prevailed.
We know that Togo's a pretty fierce fighter, but also very fair when he gets wheel to wheel out here. We've certainly seen him here in the 79s plenty, but he's kind of more known, I'd say, over on the Lotus 49 realm, especially with the multiple championships that he's taken over there. But he does quite well with these higher downforce machines.
And as we watch this, just kind of my ADD brain over here, Joe, I've been looking at Gernot's car. I don't see any damage. I don't see any steering damage either. So it appears to be tracking straight. I think the one tough thing that he's going to have is that Suzuka is a high downforce track. So it's not like he can just use that straight line speed of trimming the car out. Oh, there's AJ Roper around just after Degner number 2, so that's going to move Gernot up another position.
Yeah, you bring up a good point that I'd kind of wondered about before this race got started. Definitely a high downforce track, so who has tried to trim it out a bit? And I kind of wonder if Lodato is one of those, or if it was damage from his perhaps slight contact. We don't know if he actually did, because it seems like the car has been very slippery for him in places.
And I think it's that two-edged sword. I don't think Togo and Jack are going to end up not fighting each other for the next, call it 15 laps or so. It's the two-edged sword that a little bit too much downforce, it will cost you straight line speed, and call it 2, 3, 4 miles an hour is important whenever you're racing. However, if you don't have enough downforce, you can have a really slippery car. And here's Gernot. He's just going to take a nice racing line. Check this out. Provide the launch coming out of the corner. Use the slipstream and probably make a nice move into 1.
That was Lucas again that's sliding in the foreground of that shot that we saw briefly. And I have a feeling Gernot's going to be enjoying this, though. He gets a chance to really fight these cars as behind him. Friesen and Clapper still fighting for that spot. It's going to be Clapper to the inside, but it switches to the outside. Coming into the snake, and he's still going to have the speed to get that one done. Nicely done by the 16.
While I agree with you, Gernot will enjoy doing all the passes. You got to wonder every pass that he makes, is he muttering under his breath, I should be up the front.
Yeah, I think, he would have been going for another win to add to his tally. For those that don't know, he holds the record for the most wins on the Sunday Grand Prix series by a large margin. But he's got enough, I think, that he can set that aside for a bit to make a few passes. And next on his list is going to be Alvarez.
And he has had a couple wins recently, especially this season. So Gernot used to just be completely dominant here in these 79s. Then he kind of took a little break and doesn't do nearly as much practice, so he wasn't getting the wins, especially with Yuka, Pauli, all these other drivers showing up. But I think this season, he's just kind of found a little bit something. Maybe it's just with practice time, maybe it's with the setup, or maybe just things are clicking for Gernot Friesche, and he's found that top step a couple times again.
Yeah, this definitely became the playground of the Finns and the Spaniards for a while, taking so many championships. Marco Sanfilippo striking back at Parton and taking the fastest lap. Gernot Friesche down to the inside, slices through to take another position at the Casio Triangle, although it looks like Alvarez is going to try and fight him for it. He gets a good exit, and all this back and forth means that Jason Clapper is actually still with them. This could be a three-way fight coming into the first corner. Does he poke his nose in? No, he's going to hang back to the inside. Oh, is going to give the spot to Gernot Friesche as Alvarez nearly loses it.
Yeah, I wonder if Clapper's going to push the issue around the outside. It's just so tough. There's no grip, but room given from Antonio Alvarez. Check this out. I talk about it quite a bit with the 49s and the 79s. It's apparent in the IMSA Vintage Series too. It's just the respect given from every single one of these drivers week in, week out. Usually they leave racing room for each other.
And, I mentioned it in the intro of this one. You would think that you'd get a boring race when there's nothing on the line anymore, but it's the complete opposite. I love how spicy this race has been. We've been getting some fantastic wheel-to-wheel action.
And here's a good example, right? John Olsen is in the blue car, and Nathan Finnegan is kind of in this dark purple machine. Coming up to spoon curve, really send it in on the inside. Make sure not to bottom out the car on that exit curve. Looks like both of them really able to keep it on the pavement and then just put the power down, try to keep the thing on the racetrack. And I actually think the biggest gainer out of that set of corners there was Rolly Wallbank on the back of Nathan Finnegan. But this is through 130R, just flat out in these downforce cars. Try to get close enough to make an out-braking move into the Casio Triangle, but none of these cars are quite close enough to make that lunge.
Big send there from Rolly Wallbank, trying to get a little close there. We switch back to Barry West in the meantime. He's behind Dylan Freckleton. We saw have his spin a little earlier, so he's slightly out of position. Barry
on that F2 championship, and here he is in the top split, inside the top 10, collecting another huge chunk of points. Not that it really matters in terms of the championship, but I think that he's really excelling in the 79s. I think he's still coming to grip in the 49s when he shows up, but I think his driving style, whatever's working for him, it suits this car a lot better.
Yeah, lowest I rating in this top split is 2,900 right now. That's higher than mine. I wouldn't have made this top split, which I know I'm not the fastest driver, but I got 2,700, so that's still pretty amazing that I wouldn't have even made it.
Oh, trust me, Joe, I'm not even cracking the 2,000 club, as Togo is just... He's going to try to make a move in one. Let's see how aggressive he gets in the second part here in turn number 2. Really sends it in. Does he get the drive off? This is going to secure the pass for a podium position. JDS is going to have nowhere to go. What a move from Togo Hisada. We saw him defend around the outside earlier today, and then he wasn't able to do it earlier on when JDS was able to put his car in the middle of the racetrack, and this time Togo is able to make the pass.
He was a fierce fighter. That just really showed it right there. But unfortunately for him, they're ways behind Marco Sanfilippo. It's about 7 seconds to try and reach second place. So if he has more speed in it, then it's going to be rough trying to chase him down after so much gap has been built up. Also, a quick note, Nathan Finnegan had a spin in turn 1. So if you wondered why he fell down to 14th, that's why.
I think this is definitely a special race for Togo Hisada. I know that he's just kind of right over there by the racetrack in person. Typically 49, like you heard Joe say, the 49 champion, 4-time Lotus 49 champion. But given that it's Suzuka and he does race these 79s, I'm not surprised he's doing so well.
Here's what happened to Finnegan. I think this was a defense gone wrong. You can see trying to cover off 2 different cars. And going offline, I mean, it might look silly, but I can attest, being offline into that braking zone has got to be really tough.
There's also just a lot going on from a driving vehicle dynamic perspective, right? Because you carry a ton of speed into turn 1. All the weight is on the left side, and you're actually accelerating, so it's kind of on the back left. And then you have to weight transfer and balance that brake pressure, not to put too much weight on the nose to have it turn too much, not lock up the rear. So I just think that turn 1 and 2 here at Suzuka, an incredibly difficult corner, especially in Formula cars.
Barry West, we mentioned him trying to make up a position. Well, he lost one to Kevin Parrish. He's trying to chase him now. And then behind him, I think that was Gernot Frische passing Francois Boscus. So Barry's going to have some fun in a moment. Now, he's fought with Gernot before, but I don't think he has any illusions that he can hold him off for the remainder of this entire race.
So whenever I was racing and you're stuck behind somebody, you look at what's coming up behind you, and if you can't figure out a way by, let that faster car go through, let him be the hammer, and once he opens up that door, you just follow your way through.
You're opening doors with hammers?
Sometimes you need to.
So
Trust me, sometimes those doors, they don't move and they're constantly on the apex, Joe.
I expect you on the new remake of The Shining when that happens. So AJ Roper and down in 19th, another one that's not having the best of days. Usually much farther up the order in this field. But the number 20 car right now is chasing with Lucas Lodato. Let's see if that black and white and red machine is a little bit more planted now.
We'll see if he can shove the helmet through the open door from the hammer, just like The Shining back there. I think it's going to have to be a little bit of a bigger hole, though, as AJ Roper continues his climb. He did have that little bit of an earlier spin, remember, right after the second Degner there. So right back of 18th of Lucas Lodato. And you had mentioned that the lead was closing back up, and here it is. Marco Sanfilippo has yet to let go of Pauli Parton, and quite honestly, Joe, I thought Pauli was gone when he got clean air.
I thought so too. It seemed like he pulled that gap pretty quickly, but Marco's been keeping him honest. Here we go. Gernot getting by pretty easily down the main straight over Barry West, so that moves him up into 11th, just about back into the top 10 now. But yeah, Marco has been hovering and in fact got as close as 0.2 of a second about a lap and a half ago. So Marco's been making a race out of this, but I wonder if this goes back to that high downforce talk. It must be very hard to try and hold close to that car ahead.
And typically the Finns, they always trim the car out. It may not be significantly more than others, but it might just be, call it one click of the wing, and that provides them that 2 or 3 miles an hour down the straightaway. And then you just have to drive it that way, and they're so comfortable driving those quote-unquote lower downforce setups. That's typically what makes those cars fast race cars. There's fast qualifying cars, and there's fast race cars. Pauli Partanen and his buddy Jukka Tolvanen, they always showed up with fast race cars.
Coming around now, out of Spoon Curve, Bjorn Ackerman working on John Olsen. This is for 6th place, and this is all for pride here. Don't think Ackerman's quite close enough, though. You can see Olsen teammates with Rolly Wallbank when you see those similarly liveried cars. That's part of the Classic Teams Championship, usually anyways, not always, but that is two of our teammates out there trying to gather points.
Bjorn can put a little bit more pressure on John Olsen here. They're doing pretty much identical lap times, just kind of hanging out in those, call it mid to low 49s right now. And Gernot Friesche, after he gets by Kevin Parrish, which he just did, he's got about 5 seconds up the road to catch these two cars right here. But 7 seconds, 49s, we'll see if it's doable, especially if Bjorn continues to pile on the pressure. It's just going to cause John to drive a little bit slower and slower and slower. It's just like that anxiety of the boss looking over the shoulder.
Ackerman is absolutely laying it on. The car gets a little squiggly, though, coming into Dunlop, but he doesn't lose any time on him. Stays right close to him, down into the Degners. You can sometimes see passes into the hairpin. Is he close enough to try and make something stick here? Or will he even try it? And the answer is no, as there's a defense from John even going into the left-hander.
Yeah, but watch the power down phase. Ackerman just draws nice and even here. See about the wing levels. Here in the sim, it really is down to the wing levels and the ride height. And it seems like Bjorn is able to tuck right up in the slipstream, but he's not gaining in the acceleration phase. We'll have to see on the top end phase here going towards 130R.
Oh, this is looking very good for him. He is tucked right underneath there. If he's got the straight line speed, he should theoretically have it. He's going to look to the right-hand side, then to the left. Oh, but he had to lift. He got too close to the rear of John Olsen. Still gets a chance to try and do it into the Casio triangle, coming up to the braking zone, but he lost too much time with his lift.
It was a cheeky little defense from John Olsen going into 130R, and it's definitely brought Rolly Wallbank right onto the back there, and that's that second blue car. So not only is Ackerman having to pile on the pressure to John in front of him, he's got to worry about the number 17 car, that if he's too far offline, it might open the door and Bjorn might actually go back a position.
Coming off the opening hairpin and back into the snake now. Obviously, Ackerman's paint scheme, not a traditional livery for the 79s. Very Lisa Frank looking. I've always enjoyed that. He does that too on the Lotus 49 as well. Did he hatch drivers?
You're telling me that's not a classic remake, Joe?
I don't think Mario Andretti ran with a unicorn paint scheme. I'm pretty certain. Just saying.
It would have been fantastic. I would have loved.
I would love it.
Oh, he slips up huge coming out of the second Degner there. So I think he'll be able to defend against Rolly. The hairpin isn't really a huge passing. Look at the nose, though. Oh, little bit of a lockup from the 17, but thankfully does not run into that wheel of Ackerman.
I mean, this has been a masterclass in both putting pressure on and responding to that pressure from all three of these drivers. As we switch over to Jason Clapper versus Alvarez now. Finnegan up in front of them hasn't really gone very far up the road after his spin earlier on in the race. Three-car fight essentially for 14th, although they're separated by quite a few car lengths right now.
And I wonder if Jason Clapper might have had an incident because his lap time was a 151. Well, here we go. Let's check out the GSRC replay. Oh, so close to wrecking the car right there. Maybe scrapes the guardrail, but that was an excellent save. I talked about it with the track back, bottoming out the car, right there through the Degner section. That is the easiest place to bottom out the car, and when you do, all of a sudden the tires aren't on the ground anymore. It just kind of is a roller coaster ride.
Two things. I mean, good eye on figuring that out before we even got to the replay. And two, I'm amazed that Clapper did not lose that car, because usually when you bottom out over that curb here at Suzuka, even in modern F1 cars, it can be curtains, and he kept it out of the Armco. Back to the...
Considering that these leaders are at spoon curve, call it about 3 1/4 laps to go.
Coming down to the end. Remember, last race of the season. If you got something to prove, now's the time to do it. Look at that, way wide out there for Togo Hisada, taking it all the way onto the curb. Again, you got to be careful, because these cars like to ride very low with the ground effects, and he's got some slipstream, but can he hold on coming through 130R, because this is where that dirty air will hurt you. He does extremely well. Of course, we see a defense from JDS coming down into the braking zone, but we could get a cut back, trying to see if he can get the launch onto the main straight. Oh, he gets balked on the second apex.
Yeah, and I just think we're going to see this yellow car stretch its legs a little bit. When he was in the slipstream, he was just able to close it right up and drive right by Togo Hisada. And now Togo's actually using the slipstream to great effect. I wonder if they're running nearly identical cars. I thought that JDS was maybe one click lower on the downforce, but that tells me they might be running identical setups.
Yeah, very, very close. This series, you will see drivers share their setups quite freely, because it is such a small and tight-knit community. They want to try and bring as many people in as they can. Bjorn Ackerman also going a bit wide up through spoon, and too wide as the car gets sideways on him. Does he catch it? He's steering into the slide. This is off into the AstroTurf. No,
there's no way, Joe. It's not a Formula Drift steering angle car, but he does do a pretty cool. Was that one 360 or was it two on the exit there?
I think it was a 360.
Yeah, there you go. I'll give him style points. That's the combo points right there.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, not going to give him any more points in this race. It's all about that finishing position, but he keeps going. And now he's right on the back of Kevin Parrish, just in front of him. This is for trying to get back into that top 10.
And as we watch these, you just saw it exit the frame. Gernot Frischa has made his way inside the top 10, knocking on the door for 8th, and actually Rolly Wallbank as well as Dylan Freckleton directly in front of him. So from going from the front row to dead last on the front straightaway before turn 1, he could end up with a 7th place finish.
You might want to go back to Togo, and there they are right there. Jack David Spickett. Togo was trying on him coming down into the braking zone once again. Couldn't get there. I almost wonder, because now it looks like he's lost a bit coming up to the first corner as we check back in with Gernot going for maybe almost a 2-for-1. That doesn't work out. But I was going to say, Joey, I wonder if Togo maybe needs to set up for the exit of the chicane instead.
I agree with you. Yes, he does. But you have to be faster in that section of the racetrack, and he seems to be struggling with the power down phase. So maybe if he can realize that, he can back up that Casio triangle and just focus on the exit. But there also could be the fact that he's struggling with dirty air. What if he's just overcooking the tires, trying to stay that close to JDS, and that's all he's got going into the Casio triangle? But you're right. I think management-wise, that is where he needs to get faster.
That was Barry West being overtaken by Jean-Francois Boscas for 12th. Barry down one more, and is only up one from where he started because of that overtake. Still not too bad of a day for the number 13 to finish in the mid-pack. Up ahead of them, that is Bjorn Ackerman, who doesn't seem as close as we saw before on chasing Kevin Parrish. So we could see this become quite a few more cars in this little battle.
Actually, Rolly Wallbank just slipped up coming out of the turn 11 hairpin. So the number 10 of Dylan Freckleton is just drafting towards him, heading towards the spoon curve. Here's Dylan in the purple car. Slides it to the inside. We're going to see if Gernot Frischa can now take advantage coming out of the exit, but Rolly really puts the power down nicely, so Gernot's going to look towards that Casio triangle after 130R, I would expect. Well, maybe not.
We're going to go side by side. Gernot Frischa is going to take the track position away from Rolly Wallbank. with no fear through that corner. Here we go. Togo took our advice. He's going to go for it down to the turn one. They almost interlocked wheels into the first corner. They hang out side by side all the way through turn two, but it gives the inside to JDS as they enter the snake, and he will retain that third spot. Well, it was a valiant effort. Didn't quite work, though.
I think the high line in turn 1 and 2 is where you need to be as we jump back to this battle. I'm going to talk about turn 1 and 2 as we watch it here. I do think that the commitment level through turn number 1, you want to be on the outside there as Barry West is going to move up into 13th. Nathan Finnegan just had a huge moment there in the 1 and 2 complex. And we saw Togo Asada make a pass on the outside. We've seen JDS defend from the outside. So I feel if you want to accomplish the pass going into turn 1, you want to be on the left side of the racetrack. Interesting.
Okay, we'll see if he switches it up and tries that next time. Pauli Partanen, he's been soaking up the pressure as well. Sanfilippo's hardly been farther than a full second behind for quite some time. We may have had a problem with Finnegan and Barry West, though, because I just saw them lose a bunch of spots on the tower. So we'll check on that in a little bit. White flag being held aloft now for Pauli Partanen. 1 to go. He's just got to keep it clean because Sanfilippo has not had an answer for him.
About half a second back as they go down the front straightaway here. And you see Pauli kind of doing the serpentine, the snake, try to break whatever slipstream Marco is sniffing. But it's all going to come down to just another 17 turns. See if Marco can apply that pressure.
Starting from 5th on the grid and coming up through at the start of the race with an aggressive move that I don't think maybe Freesia appreciated, but fans of the Finnish contingent in this series will definitely be happy that Pauli did it, because it has given him not only the chance to win, but it's looking like he is going to seize it with both hands as long as he can make half a lap here.
This exit of the Degner 2 is so tricky, and they didn't go all the way over the exit, didn't bottom out the car, so that was an important section right there. And then the turn 11 hairpin, it's all about the exit. You see the leader just put the power down nicely. The rear of the car squirming just a little bit, but very minuscule in comparison to everybody else we've seen.
Coming up to the braking now for Spoon Curve through the first apex, right out to the edge of the track. He's leaving nothing in it here today, and then accelerating up the backstretch. Pauli Partanen with just one more braking zone left to go to wrap this one up. And Marco at least keeping him honest throughout this race. Like I said, been staying within 1 second pretty much the entire time after he lost the lead. Under braking, nothing in it for Sanfilippo. Pauli Partanen accelerates to the line to take the checkered flag in the win in the last race of the season for the Sunday Grand Prix Series.
Check this out. Togo's going to try to go the long way. Lock up from JDS. He makes it happen. Togo Asada around the outside of the Casio Triangle. And now JDS puts the power down as Togo slips up. Oh my goodness. Jack David Spickett steals away the podium in the last 100 yards.
It was there until it wasn't. And Dylan Freckleton. Something happened in 130R, and you never have small accidents there. He is out of this race with just a few hundred meters left in it.
Oh my goodness. Jason Clapper is going to try to pull a Togo Asada up over the curbs. He's not going to be able to put the power down, so he's going to fall back to 12th. Kevin Parrish is going to hang on to 11th.
I mean, we wanted them to end with a bang, and boy, did they. This was an amazing last lap, and JDS gives a good race to Togo immediately afterwards. Same thing from Togo, telling him an incredible battle as AJ Roper will bring it home. Last car on the lead lap. Finnegan has already taken a tow, so he's out of this race, which means all of our cars have wrapped this one up. And Pauli Partanen will be your winner for the last race of the season. Marco Sanfilippo gave it a right try, but he'll have to take second after starting this one on pole. Jack David Spickett will be on the podium to celebrate his championship as he enjoyed that fight with Togo Asada, who came home in fourth. Danilo Sanfilippo will finish P5. John Olsen going from 10th to 6th. Nice climb for him today. Kind of the reverse for Gernot Friesche, 2nd to 7th, but his climb back through the field was admirable. Rolly Wallbank was P8, and then Bjorn Ackerman from 18th to 9th. That was with a qualifying lap. Amazing from Bjorn. Jean-Francois Boscus rounds out your top 10.
In 11th, we have Kevin Parrish. Jason Clapper with a good run, up plus 9 positions to finish in 12th. Antonio Alvarez, 13th. Mickey Fries in 14th. Barry West, 15th. AJ Roper back here in 16th. Then I really feel for Dylan Freckleton. It shows him down 1 lap, but he made it to 130R, and just massive net code really took him out there. Just very unfortunate for Dylan Freckleton to finish in 17th. Nathan Finnegan also down 1 lap, 18th. Lucas Lodato, 19th, did not see the checkered flag, as well as Victor Rodriguez and Sergio Fernandez.
And Gernot even apologized to Dylan in the text chat afterwards, saying he also thought it was netcode, but still giving a sorry about that. You never want to see that happen to your rivals, even if you are fighting for position at the end of the race.
Speaking of, Joe, I see them both in the chat right now, and Dylan actually just put in there, he used up all of his luck avoiding a spinning Gernot off of the start, so it was just maybe kind of coming back to him.
Yeah, the racing gods are weird like that, so it's at least he's taking it in good humor. I can tell, though, Gernot seems a little irked about what happened at the start from what I can tell in the text chat, but we'll see if he comes and talks to us after the race. Here was the start, and yeah, just didn't get off the line well, and Togo and Pauli just had that tiny little bit of contact that kind of bounced Pauli into him.
And from that view, it all looks like they're even, but Pauli is not even. He has only got a nose, a front wheel to the rear wheel at that point, so it was really, look, this is from Gernot's perspective. He's not going to see anything. He just gets clobbered into type of thing. A really tough start.
Let's get Pauli's thoughts on it, because he's here ready to chat with us. And congratulations, Pauli, taking the final win of the season. What a start, though. You managed to sneak through. I don't know if you've had a chance to go back and look at it, but it seems like Gernot was less than impressed with the start. What are your feelings?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think I got the best start I have ever got, because I think I was something like P5 or P6 or something like that, and after the first corner I was second, but yeah, it went 4 wide, and I think I'm most of the blame here, because I should have not squeezed there. I should have lifted there, and well, I didn't lift, and some people sadly had to end the race there, so that's bad. I'm really sorry, Sergio and Gernot.
Gernot did manage to recover to 7th in the end, so he did get the car going. Yeah. But tell us about your run up to the front and then taking the lead away, because you said it was your best start ever. That almost seemed to make the difference that gave you the shot at the win.
Yeah, well, I was sure I need to get a very good launch, because I was so far back, and I knew that I will not have the pace to overtake everybody, and yeah, I was P2 after the first corner, and then I just decided that I need to overtake Marco as soon as possible, because I had very oversteery setup, so I was counting on having a good pace on the start of the race, and I was able to do that. It was good overtake, and after that I just tried to keep the car on road. The last laps were horrible. The car was super oversteery, and I had very big troubles just keeping it on the road, and Marco had awesome pace. Like he was super fast, so it was not easy win. It was super hard win.
Did you do anything special in terms of defense to try and hold him behind, or did the dirty air do most of the work for you?
Yeah, I think the dirty air did the most work. My plan was just stay on the road and try to be fast as possible. I didn't have any other ideas, because I think the twisty parts, there's a lot of dirty air there, and it's very easy to lose time there. So I just made sure that I don't make mistakes there, because if I make mistake there, then Marco behind will be too close and he will make an easy overtake. So it's just that I didn't want to make a mistake, that's all.
Well, it was an impressive drive all around. And again, congratulations on the win.
Yeah, thank you.
Pauli Partanen, victor here today. In fourth was Togo Hisada. Joey has caught up with him.
Togo Hisada, I know that you're not on the podium, but are you smiling after that race? It looked like a blast between you and Jack.
Yeah. At first of all, I'm sorry for the starting accident. I went a little bit too aggressive. I'm sure I'm not side by side with Pauli, but yeah. So I believe not my fault, but it's just happening. So I just went too aggressive on the start. So sorry for that incident. But the race is so fair. Fair battle between me and JDS. And, actually, me and Jack Davis Pickett is the same age. I think we are same 19 years old under the kind of very young aggressive battle kind of here. So I really enjoyed.
So, did you at one point at all feel like you were faster than JDS, or did you know that it was just going to be a race-long fight?
Yeah, just both places very equal, I think. Yeah. The downforce level is same, so the slipstream and the straight line speed it is all about the same. So just very long fight.
I gotta ask you, because memory, you're pretty close to Suzuka, the real racetrack, aren't you?
Yes, just 2 hours by car far.
Okay. All right, yeah, so you're pretty close over there. No wonder why you always show up at Suzuka. Extremely impressive. 4-time Lotus 49 champion, and hopefully, maybe we'll see you be a Lotus 79 champion one day. But congrats, Togo Hisada, on the 4th, and thanks for coming out and racing today.
Thank you.
That was the driver of the number 5, Joe.
So that's going to wrap us up for the season. So, of course, we want to give a big thank you to the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And also thanks to the team today, Daniel, Christian, Joey, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media website and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. We'll be back for next season, Sunday, September 15th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, so don't miss that. But be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we have listed here. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.